Hello everyone, Mark Latham here. I thought I'd do a posting on a particular subject to probably get some interest from the sisters within the organisation in particular, but not exclusively obviously, and hopefully some of them may watch this one day and start to think very seriously about their commitment to the blood issue. What am I talking about? Well, you're all very well versed in this document here, and we know which document we're talking about here. This is the advanced decision to refuse specified medical treatments, isn't it? To refuse specified medical treatments. Okay, well, when we go look at the back of this particular document, we see in parts 1 and 2 there in bold, and that's the only bit I'm going to, because you're already well versed in this, so I'm just going to read this stuff to you. It says the refusal of specified treatments contained herein continues to apply even if those medically responsible for my welfare and or any other persons believe that such treatments are necessary to sustain my life. Part 2 says, I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses with firm religious convictions. With full realization of the implications of this position, I direct that, and then in bold, no transfusions of blood or primary blood components, red cells, white cells, plasma and platelets. None of those things be administered to me in any circumstances. Okay. Any circumstances. Now, one of those we're going to concentrate on now, out of those primary 4, that under any circumstances you will not have them. You will put your life on the line for this, won't you? Because of these so-called primary 4. Other surgeons and medical experts would argue about the so-called primary 4. I've seen many arguments on this, and it's a lot more complex than just saying primary 4. That's, for the sake of argument, let's stick to this primary 4. Alright, the one we're going to look at are white blood cells. Okay, now white blood cells, very interesting subject this. Here's my first question. If I was to say to you that every Kingdom Hall around the world is a blood transfusion centre, what would you say? You'd think I was completely ludicrous in my statements, wouldn't you? You'd say, what on earth is that man talking about? Kingdom halls, blood transfusion centres. Are you having a laugh? That's what you'd say, wouldn't you? And you'd be right to think that, if you are living with the ignorance of not understanding exactly what I'm about to say. So, do you have a mother's room in your Kingdom Hall? Do you have a nursery in your Kingdom Hall? Somewhere where a mother and a newborn infant can go during the meeting and close a door or a curtain and have a private moment where the mother is then in a position to breastfeed the baby. Because if you have one of those facilities, then you have a blood transfusion centre taking place. Yes, you do. I would encourage all of you sisters, and you brothers, of course, to look into this subject. Google it. It's not apostate material. If you go on to Google and put in white blood cells and breastfeeding, you'll be surprised at what comes up. There's a lot of information there. But in short, what we're talking about here are leukocytes. Have you heard of those before? They're the white blood cells. Now, going back to our document here, you've signed away your right to want anything to do with this. You've made it very clear, even at risk of death, that you will not have any treatments under any circumstances, to have white blood cells. Breastfeeding, the transferring of food, nutritional food, from the mother to the baby through milk, contains millions of white blood cells. Yes, it does. You don't have to take my word for it. You can actually do the research yourself and discover this. This is not a trick question. It's not to trip you up. It's to make you think. On the one hand, you're signing away your life to say that I will not receive any treatments, even if I'm unconscious, to do with white blood cells. We'll concentrate on that one primary four. And yet, on the other hand, a mother will transfer white blood cells from herself, which is blood, because that's how you're recognizing it, isn't it? White blood cells is blood, and it's primary, and therefore we can't have it. And yet they're being transferred from mother to baby every day. So if you have a number of ladies, sisters, within the Kingdom Hall at any given week, breastfeeding their children, their newborn infants, that is a blood transfusion taking place. Now, just to add insult to injury, shall we say, the baby is eating this blood, which, according to your rules that the society has administered to all of you, is that you cannot eat the blood. I mean, there's arguments about transfusing the blood. Okay, let's put that to one side, but let's look at eating the blood. You are willingly transfusing this blood through the milk to the baby, and the baby is eating it for nutritional value. There are millions of them, millions of white cells in the milk, and you're letting it happen. So this really does beg the question: why is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society allowing all of their Jehovah's Witness female sisters, the sisters themselves, why are they allowing them to breastfeed, knowing that the breastfeeding is full of white cells, that they are transferring white blood cells to another human being willingly? Why are they allowing that to happen when they're quite happy to let you write your life off for having absolutely no treatments yourself to keep yourself alive? And yet here is a classic example of a mother breastfeeding her baby and transferring white cells. Wow. Leukocytes, they're called. This isn't to trip you up. It's not to do anything other than to make you think. On the one hand, you're risking your life by not having any treatment with white cells. And on the other hand, you're willingly feeding your baby with blood. Yes, you are. Now, can I just get one thing clear? I personally believe that breastfeeding is a wonderful arrangement, and breastfeeding has been proven to be extremely beneficial for the baby and the mother. The close bond, also to protect them from those pathogens through the nutrients that are coming from the breast milk, to build up their immune systems. It's an excellent way for the baby to take its first few weeks of life by ingesting breast milk. So it's very healthy. And yet to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, this is wrong. I put it to you, it must be wrong. The reason it's wrong is because there is a transferal of white cells, millions of them, at each breastfeed from one human being to another. Can you see my point? So with this going on, the question is, why is the society allowing breastfeeding to continue? Why is it not stamping on this and stopping it from happening? Because they've stopped you from taking everything else. Under any circumstances, you are not allowed to have these treatments for any of those primary four. Strictly forbidden, and I mean strictly forbidden. And yet here you are, quite innocently, transferring millions of white blood cells to your newborn infant. So the society is keeping this quiet from you. It doesn't want you to know about this. Surely. I haven't seen any literature out there. Maybe some others can help me out here. There possibly is some explanation of it from the Watchtower Society, but I haven't seen it. And if it is, isn't it full of hypocrisy to say, if they are endorsing breastfeeding when they know full well what is happening with the white blood cells? We're not talking microscopic issues here, we're talking millions of white blood cells. Okay, so there we go. That's my thought for the day on this. But I just want to finish off by saying that Kingdom Halls are blood transfusion centres. Yes, they are. And you're having it every single week with thousands of Kingdom Halls all over the world. Babies are eating blood through the breast milk. Please have a think about that. Think very deeply about what you're committing to. It's a blood dogma, and there are many more. Okay, that's my rant. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for listening. Bye for now.